All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, very excited to be talking to an individual who competes as part of Gamebred Bare-Knuckle MMA, and this goes down on November the 10th. We have Randy Costa and Jason Knight getting out there to test skills, and great getting to have Jason on the show. How's everything going, man? You having a solid day so far?
Yeah, man, I worked from 6 o'clock this morning until 4:30. And I'm waiting on 6 o'clock to hit so I can head to the gym and start training. I'll be there from probably 6:30 until about 8 or maybe 8:30. And then it's time to get up and do it all again tomorrow morning.
And from what I was seeing last, you were training at an American top team location out of Mississippi. Is that where you're still at now?
Yes, it's American top team in Iberville, Mississippi.
That's awesome. I would imagine that would be, a space that's just, rife with great talent. Like, who would you say some of the main people you're getting in work with in this camp would be?
I've been working a lot with a guy named Josh Mayo. He's an up-and-comer. He's still an amateur right now, but he is an awesome little boxer, and I've been doing a lot of striking with him. And other than that, just working with a lot of the guys around the gym, doing wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And there's not very many big names there. There's a guy named Brandon Davis. He fought in the UFC for a while. You might possibly know him. Chase Sherman comes down and trains with us some now. This used to be his home gym, but he's not there anymore. He's at Killcliff nowadays. Alan Dutcher's there just about every night. He's getting ready for his fight as well. And my head coach, Mike Sanford, that's my main coach, and I take a lot of knowledge from him as well. But, as far as big names, we don't have a whole lot of those. But as far as big talent goes, we've got a lot of guys that, they just haven't made a name for themselves yet.
I mean, it seems like some of the names you like even outlined there just, carry such a presence. Like, I know you said he wasn't there as regularly and more at Killcliff, but, Chase Sherman and mentioning a guy like Alan Belcher being more regular at that space. I mean, you're just talking about guys who have such a wealth of bare-knuckle knowledge, and yourself included, obviously, so it would seem like a great space to be at leading into, the bare-knuckle MMA and all.
Yeah, man, the way I look at it, the bare-knuckle MMA, for me, it's just the same as a street fight with, a skilled opponent across from me. So, with doing MMA for so long, I became pretty skilled myself. My opponent, from what I can see, he's got very good striking, and I've been hit with a bare knuckle quite a few times. So I think that aside from us both having mixed martial arts experience, this is just pretty much a street fight that we get to get paid for.
Yeah, not your first go-around with bare-knuckle MMA. You obviously had that fight with Charles Bennett at the Gamebred event that went down in June 2021 there in the headliner. Like, what was that initial experience like with bare-knuckle MMA, and, like, how much can you, I guess, glean from that can inform what you do in this sophomore bare-knuckle MMA fight?
I didn't really get to learn a whole lot from that one, just because it ended pretty shortly. For me, it was just the same as any other MMA fight. The only difference was we didn't have any gloves on. It's going to sting a little more when you get hit, and it hurts your hands a little more. Other than that, same concept. You go in there with the same rules, and you throw the same punches, same kicks. Your hands hurt a little more afterwards, And I've come to realize that I'm not one of those guys that can pull his punches and try to not hit with all of his power, so I'm just bound to have my hands hurt afterwards, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I would rather hit the guy hard and be more effective than try to throw lighter punches and be safer. So I guess I didn't learn a whole lot, but I know a lot of these guys that do the bare knuckle, they try to throw their punches with a little less aggression, and they try to target the soft parts of the body. And I guess that's just something that I might have to learn in the future. But for now, it's hard for me to really control it when my adrenaline's pumping. I'm just trying to knock the other guy's head off and not really thinking about the harm that it might do to my body.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair way to kind of break things down, and I guess I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on this, because I referenced earlier the successes you had in, BKFC specifically, but just really bare knuckle overall, to the scale of getting your fight with Artem Lobov put into the BKB Hall of Fame, but then also in saying that, being a UFC veteran caliber MMA fighter, and I guess just curious, is this almost an entirely new sport altogether, or is it almost in a simplistic layman way, almost the combination of those two things? It's literally just being able to use your BKFC experience and UFC experience at the same time together.
For me, I think I look at it as just another MMA fight. We just happen to not have gloves on. A lot of people think that this is something completely new, and it is new to most of the world. But man, before I ever got into mixed martial arts, I got into tons and tons of street fights, and for me, it's just no different than a street fight. You just got skill. You got two skilled athletes that have cardio going against each other versus some drunk guys at the bar.
Yeah, I get what you're saying in that regard. When did, I guess, this bout offer then initially come your way, just with Randy Costa? When did, this opportunity kind of get initially presented to you there?
Not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before. Right at 2 weeks ago, they give me the call and asked, if I would be interested in taking the fight. I told him that I needed to talk to my coach, and I would get back with him as soon as I talked to my coach. And I told my coach, I was like, hey, man, I think I'm going to take this fight. And he said, if UFC is not an option, then let's go that way. It's a good opportunity, good money. And I think that UFC is still an option. I don't have time to wait around on them to call my name. So I gotta do something in the meantime.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's a bit of a discussion point with this, just being that it's your first fight since that run on The Ultimate Fighter 31 there and everything like that. So, yeah, I guess just looking to keep busy and seeing what the options are available thereafter, that kind of thing.
Yeah, man, that's it for me. I've got a family to provide for, and working, my tail off every day. It's, it's a whole lot more on my body than taking a fight and making, a bigger paycheck. The money that I make throughout the year working, doesn't even compare to the money that I make in a fight. A good fight with good pay, I can make the amount of money that I would make pretty much all year in one single fight. So it just makes sense to me to stay active fighting, and if I can get on some big cards and make money that way, then maybe I don't work anymore, and I don't have to get up at 5:30 in the morning and be at work at 6 o'clock and work out in the heat and stuff like that. I would much rather train all day, But at this point in my life, I have to hold down a steady job to make sure my bills are paid and my family's fed.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. Were you surprised almost? I mean, I guess things in the house didn't pan out to where you got to the finals, but even in the performances you showed, I guess one would think that you would have been offered a fight. Like, were you almost surprised that, like, no bout offer came your way? Like, maybe even a short notice kind of thing or anything like that? I guess it just strikes me as kind of curious.
Yeah, man, for me, it was just, I still feel like the offer's coming, a fight offer's coming. It kind of blows my mind that it hasn't already came. I thought for sure that I would be one of the first people to get a call, but, I guess not. So maybe it's the UFC. They got bigger plans. They're waiting to surprise me with something big, or maybe they just didn't see what they wanted to see. I don't know. But, I guess we'll figure out. The only thing that I can do is sit around and wait and see if the phone call comes.
And it would seem like this is a fight that could maybe serve that master, just with Randy Costa also being known as like a very exciting, like intense action kind of fighter. Like, what are your thoughts on him as an opponent, like in terms of his, resume and stylistic attributes? Because similar, at least in as far as he competed in UFC previously, and like I said, does have that exciting style. Like, what are your thoughts on all of that there with what Costa brings to the table?
In my opinion, I think the biggest threat for me is just the fact that he has great stand-up. He has really exceptional stand-up. I don't think it's anything that I've never seen before. He's going to come at me. He's going to throw a lot of kicks, throw a lot of straight punches, and I have a teammate, Brandon Davis, that beat him in the UFC I think it was Randy Costa's UFC debut, and Brandon Davis beat him by rear naked choke in the second round, I believe it was. So, I believe that, like I said, the biggest thing to worry about with him is going to be his stand-up. I think if the fight goes to the ground, I end the fight 10 times out of 10. And if we stay on the feet, I think that I can beat him there as well. I think that I'm going to hit harder than he does. I think that I'm going to hit harder than he does. I think that I'm going to be able to take more punishment than he can take. And at the end of the day, I think if it's a gritty fight, it's going to come down to who has the most heart and who wants it the worst. And there's no man in this world that has more heart than I do. And, if he doesn't put me to sleep in that cage, then I don't think he stands a chance.
Yeah, I also saw on your social media you're looking to hit him with that leg kick, hit him with the POW tattoo you got on the shin there.
For sure, man. And I would think that I'm going to be able to land that bad boy at least a few times. And I've thought about getting that tattoo for a long time. And, I've been waiting to kind of reveal on social media. I'm getting Bang tattooed on the other side. I'm going to have Bang and POW.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely expect him to be able to read those words up close and personal.
Yeah, I saw he commented too and was like, keep that effing thing away from me, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, man. As far as I can tell, Randy Costa seems like he's going to be a really cool guy, going to be a really cool opponent, and I have no disrespect towards the guy whatsoever. But at the end of the day, he's my opponent, and he's the man standing in my way, of that win bonus. And I 100% plan on going in there and definitely trying to put every weapon I have at my disposal, and put it all to work and see what he can hold up to, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you, at least from what I can tell, more often than not, seem to have like a good rapport with like previous opponents. Like it kind of seemed like that with like Kurt Hollabaugh as well. Just I saw you were at your stepdaughter's kickboxing match and ran into him there, and obviously you guys fought on Tough season 31 there. So kind of cool to see that camaraderie and respect there.
Yeah, man. The crazy thing about the fight with Kurt Hollabaugh, by the time that me and Kurt fought, we were more like family than just training partners. You know, me, Kurt, and the rest of the guys that were on my team, we had all became so close that it was honestly hard to fight the guy. It was super strange because I had never went into a fight before in my life where my adrenaline wasn't pumping. You know, even street fights that I was certain that I was going to win, I had adrenaline. And going into a foreign match, and it was a different atmosphere entirely. You know, you didn't have the fans to scream and amp you up and stuff like that. So that was just one of the strangest moments in my life, to go in there and fight one of my buddies and not even be hyped up to fight him. You know, just, okay, well, here we go. And, we made a deal that we weren't going to go for takedowns unless we got hurt. And, he hurt me probably 30 seconds into the fight. But, the way I look at it is I wasn't going to be the punk who went for the first takedown.
Yeah, I mean, standing by the the word that you gave your opponent there, for sure. But I guess I'm curious, like, how that overall experience was just being part of that Ultimate Fighter 31 cast, because it seemed like a pretty, like, hotly talked about season just with a guy like McGregor, who's such a big name, and Chandler. Like, what was the whole experience like for you, large in part?
No, it was a different experience for sure. It was a lot of fun. Just, I guess, disconnecting from society and actually getting to know people on a deeper level than, just a message back and forth or whatever. We actually sat down and had good conversations and told stories to each other and stuff like that. So that was nice, but it really sucked, being away from my family for so long. But, at the end of the day, I get to say that I competed on the Ultimate Fighter. That's a show that I've been watching since I was a kid. And for me to actually be a part of that was just an unreal experience.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a great feather in the cap, for sure. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, because it seems like there's at least some emerging discourse out there of people wondering if this coach's fight is going to happen this calendar year, if not wondering if it's going to happen at all. Like, do you think we'll eventually see Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler in the octagon, or, like, what are your thoughts on that, I guess?
I think maybe eventually, but I definitely don't see it happening this year because, Conor McGregor, everybody knows that he was juicing, and I don't see him passing the USADA guidelines. So, I really don't think that's going to happen this year unless Dana White pulls some strings and just makes it happen. But more than likely, I think that would happen next year, if anything.
Yeah, well, hopefully by then, when it goes down, we can get you as part of the card, eh?
For sure. Hopefully, I'll get some kind of call sometime soon. I got the guys at Gamebred to put a clause in the contract that if the UFC does in fact call, then I can back out of my fight with Gamebred. No problem. But unless they call me with a paycheck that's more than what I'm making now, then I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, totally reasonable stance for sure, man. But, I mean, definitely an exciting fight and cool to see you in a discipline like this. Just like I said, considering how well you've done in bare knuckle and also in MMA. So definitely appealing for sure, but I do want to be mindful of the rest of your schedule tonight, Jason. I'm sure I could ask you a ton of questions, but I want to be respectful of your busy schedule. So in saying that, I guess I'm curious if maybe you might have a final thought to add as we're kind of wrapping up, man.
All I can say is anybody who doesn't follow me, go and follow me on social media, JTK the Kid, Jason Knight on Facebook, and Randy Costa, train your ass off, be ready for the fight, because I'm coming at you full force, buddy. And no disrespect, but you better be ready on that night.
And that night is going to be November 10th, and like I was saying before, definitely a stacked card with the latest Gamebred Bare-Knuckle MMA, and this Randy Costa fight really stood out among a very deep event. So in saying that, thank you for coming on the show and giving some really great insights, Jason. Looking forward to checking out this fight, but until then, you have a good rest of your night, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm about to head to the gym now.